The movie begins at the Breyers' residence. Kyle and Tori have been longing to start a family, but despite their best efforts, they haven't been able to conceive. One evening, while they're enjoying each other's company, a strange spacecraft lands near their home. From that moment on, their lives take an unexpected turn as they find themselves raising a child. Fast forward 10 years, and Tori is searching for their son, Brandon, who's supposed to be getting ready for school. She discovers him hiding in the barn, and on their way back home, they encounter Kyle, who warns Brandon to be cautious around the barn. Later, Brandon finds himself in class, where his teacher asks him about bees and wasps, noticing his distraction. Brandon shares his answer, but some classmates tease him. Thankfully, a girl named Caitlin encourages him to brush it off. That night, as Tori is engrossed in her painting, the spacecraft hidden in the barn suddenly turns red and emits strange electronic noises. Brandon hears the noise from his bed, and suddenly something takes control of him, causing him to leap out of the window. Tori rushes to his aid and finds him banging on the trap door. She manages to wake him up and tucks him back into bed. When Kyle questions her, she covers for Brandon, saying he was sleepwalking downstairs. The next day, Kyle and Brandon are hanging out when Brandon pulls out this candy he used to love as a kid. He shares it with Kyle, saying it always calmed him down. Kyle then heads out, asking Brandon to handle the lawn. But when Brandon tries to start the mower, it goes flying. Creepy voices start whispering to him, and he somehow stops the mower with his bare hands. Later, it's Brandon's birthday bash with his folks, aunt, and uncle. Everyone's praising him for being a genius at school, but things take a weird turn when Uncle Noah gifts him a gun. Kyle steps in, putting his foot down, which ticks Brandon off big time. They storm out, but back at home, Kyle and Tori resolve to be better parents. They plan a camping trip to Bond. As they prep, Tori asks Brandon to grab his jacket, but he's off chewing on a fork, thus concerning Kyle. Meanwhile, she finds some unsettling stuff under his bed and calls Kyle over. Together, they discover some worrying pictures. Kyle decides it's time for a father-son chat while they're out hunting. Later that night, Tori wakes up to find Brandon missing. At Caitlin's place, a romantic tune starts playing, freaking her out when she spots Brandon outside her window. But when her mom arrives, he's vanished. Tori finally finds Brandon, and they head home, where Kyle hides the gun, only to retrieve it when the hens kick up a racket. As Kyle aims his gun, thinking he's about to scare off a wolf, he's shocked to discover Brandon causing chaos among the hens. He swiftly sends Brandon home. Later, Kyle and Tori are devastated to find their hens slaughtered. Kyle blames Brandon, but Tori refuses to believe it, pleading not to involve their son. Meanwhile, at school, Brandon faces hostility from Caitlin during a teamwork exercise, leading to a violent outburst where he breaks her wrist. Erica, furious, demands action, leading to Brandon's suspension under his aunt's supervision. Despite Erica's protests, Tori stands by her family and leaves. Concerned for Brandon, Tori eventually confesses to Kyle that she lied about Brandon's whereabouts when they found him downstairs. She reveals her suspicion that something from a spacecraft has affected their son. Meanwhile, Brandon, asleep, hears strange voices and ventures out. Tori, researching online about Brandon's spaceship, notices a red light emanating from the barn. Investigating, she discovers Brandon floating in the air, chanting. As she approaches, he falls and injures his hand on the spacecraft. Tori consoles Brandon, revealing how they found him after the spacecraft crashed nearby, considering him a gift from God. However, Brandon becomes unhinged, leaving the house and translating the voices, revealing their message, to conquer the world. Caitlin is busy on her laptop when Brandon suddenly appears, eager to chat. But Caitlin coldly rebuffs him, citing her mother's wishes. Undeterred, Brandon offers her daisies, a chilling gesture of death, before departing. Meanwhile, Erica finds herself in a terrifying situation at her hotel when the lights flicker and a mirror shard embeds in her eye. She glimpses a masked figure, reminiscent of Brandon's eerie artwork, before barricading herself in a storeroom. However, Brandon effortlessly breaks in and seizes her. The sheriff and officer heirs arrive at the scene, shocked by the broken door and the symbol from Brandon's sketchbook, linking him to Erica's disappearance. At school, Brandon boasts merrily about his superiority over humans and his supposed uniqueness. When pressed about Caitlin, he angrily refuses to respond and clashes with Merrily over disclosing information to the sheriff. Meanwhile, Kyle enjoys time with friends until talk turns to Erica's disappearance, prompting doubts about Brandon's involvement. Noah intervenes, but Kyle remains uncertain about his son's innocence. As Tori returns home, she realizes Brandon is missing. Meanwhile, Marilee is alone at home, unaware that Brandon is watching her, hinting at impending danger. When Marilee confronts Brandon about his behavior, he tries to intimidate her, but she stands her ground. Later, as she begins to drift off, Brandon attempts to approach her, only to be interrupted by Noah's return. Furious, Noah orders Brandon into the car, his patience wearing thin. Brandon silences Noah to prevent him from disclosing anything to their parents. When Noah denies, Brandon lashes out, fleeing the scene. Meanwhile, Noah's car stalls on the way to Kyle's house, and Brandon mysteriously appears, lifting the car into the air before causing a fatal crash. Leaving a bloody symbol behind, Brandon disappears. Concerned for Brandon's well-being, Kyle and Tori are relieved when he returns, although he fabricates a story about his torn shirt. Later, Brandon experiences a disturbing dream involving Tori, awakening in a panic. Rushed to the hospital, they console Marilee over Noah's death, deepening Kyle's suspicions about Brandon. Back home, Kyle confronts Brandon about Noah's demise, but Brandon remains indifferent. Their confrontation escalates, resulting in Brandon pushing Kyle away and retreating to his room. Kyle confesses to Tori, but she remains skeptical, accusing him of unfairly blaming Brandon. Meanwhile, the sheriff uncovers a connection between Erica and Noah's crime scenes through a common symbol. Reflecting on Brandon's past, Kyle realizes his mistake and decides to address it by taking Brandon hunting alone. As they bid farewell, the sheriff arrives, presenting Tori with a symbol linked to Brandon Byers, BB. Tori feigns ignorance, but once alone, she discovers Brandon's sinister drawings detailing his crimes. Meanwhile, Brandon and his father track a deer. When Kyle takes aim and fires at Brandon, the bullet inexplicably fails to harm him, triggering Brandon's wrath. Enraged, he dons his mask and ruthlessly eliminates his father. Tori realizes her grave error and desperately tries to reach Kyle. Eventually, Brandon answers Tori's frantic calls, revealing Kyle's fate and his presence at home. Terrified, Tori attempts to flee, but Brandon intercepts her. Cornered, she hides under the kitchen table and dials 911, but struggles to convey her distress. The dispatcher alerts the sheriff, who, accompanied by Officer Ayers, rushes to the scene, only to be confronted by a chilling sight. As Tori seeks refuge with the sheriff, Brandon strikes, eliminating him, while Ayers urges Tori to conceal herself. Tori finds sanctuary beneath the bed, but Ayers meets a tragic end. As Brandon searches for her mother, Tori seizes a fleeting opportunity, escaping through a window. Tori, nursing an injury, remembers the spacecraft's ability to harm Brandon. Desperate, she retrieves a sharp metal fragment from it, concealing it for later use. Calling Brandon over, she tries to appeal to his humanity and embraces him before attempting to attack him from behind. However, Brandon is quick to react and lifts Tori high into the sky. Despite her struggles, he cruelly tosses her downward and observes a plane in the distance. Soon after, news breaks of a devastating plane crash on the Brayers' farm, claiming countless lives. Only Brandon survives, seemingly unscathed, calmly enjoying a cookie, hinting at his sinister planning of the plane crash to hide his crime of killing his own parents. As the credits roll, scenes unfold of Brandon wreaking havoc on buildings and innocent lives, while reports suggest there are others like him who pose a similar threat, underscoring the urgent need to stop them. And the movie concludes with that message: